We will now proceed to recite the Toastmasters mission, which unites all of us. It is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. In recent years, Toastmasters International have revamped their educational program. We have moved from competent competency? No, we have moved from competent communication manuals into pathways, of which there are 12 educational programs. To know more about each pathway, please feel welcome to talk to me as the VPE for Brunei Speakers Club. Before we start the meeting proper, I would like to remind everyone regarding house rules. The first house rule that I could think of are taboo topics. So in our club meeting setting, we refrain from discussing matters pertaining to religion, sex, and I think race. I believe our second house rule would have been in a physical setting with regards to the usage of our mobile phones. I guess we could also apply it in our setting if we could just put our mobile phones aside or set it on silent, but it shouldn't be a problem as long as we stay muted. I'm afraid I cannot remember any other house rules as of this time. So without further ado, let us all proceed to the meeting itself. With me as your Toastmaster of the evening. And again, without haste, let us start introducing our lineup for the role players, starting with Toastmasters Charles Buck, who is our table topics master. Over to you, Charles.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm your, so to say, topics master of the evening. It's my job to facilitate the table topics where guests and members, particularly guests, are encouraged to try a topic. And the main aim of table topics is just to, I think, have some fun and enable everyone or as many people as possible to join in, particularly those who are not doing a role. I wasn't too sure about the theme of today, but you will see when I present what I'm gonna pick. I'll see after that. And I think that's basically my role. I'll see you soon.
I now remember one house rule which we can all commit to, which is our speakers are looking in the camera, and if you are encouraged to give your jazz hands or to use the emojis for the clap hands to support our speakers and role players tonight. Thank you, Charles, for introducing your role as the table topics master. So he will be giving us surprise topics. I wonder who will be the lucky people, but surprise topics for which now our table topics evaluator, Distinguished Toastmasters and Dynamic Leadership Level 3 Proficient, Alan Ang, will introduce how he's going to work alongside the table topics master to deliver his evaluation later on in the third part of the meeting. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you very much, Mayan. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, my role is as the table topics evaluator. As Charles has already introduced, table topics is kind of form of impromptu speaking. Even though it is in an impromptu setting, it is also very important that we, number one, answer the question. And number two, we answer it with poise and also with content that is relevant to the audience. Hence, the focus of my table topics evaluation tonight is solely on the content itself. I will not be looking at the delivery. I will not be looking at the structure, but I'll be looking at how you answer the question. So two things. Number one, did you answer the question? Number two, what value did you add on to the audience while they're listening to your table topics? So with that, I would be sharing my evaluations towards the later part of the meeting. Until then, have fun and all the best. Back to you, Mayan.
Thank you. So everyone, just a recap, Alan's gonna look at your content and what value are you going to bring to the table later on. Just remember, Charles is giving you surprise topics, but I hope he wouldn't put you all in a pickle. Now, I failed to mention earlier on, but I want to rectify it now that it's Charles' first time as the Table Topics Masters. It's something we're very much looking forward to. And the next person that I want to introduce is also her first time grammarian. Everyone, without further ado, jazz hands please for Toastmasters Akila Shafika to introduce her role as the grammarian. Over to you, Akila.
Okay, thank you, Mayan. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as your grammarian for this evening's meeting, I will pay attention to your language usage. I'll take note of any outstanding words, quotes, and sayings. And as the grammarian, I have the opportunity to introduce you a word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is fervent.
Fervent.
Yes, can I have that on screen, Mayan? Thank you.
Yes.
Fervent means having or showing very strong and sincere feeling about something. To make sure if everyone gets that, can I humbly ask everyone to type in word of the day in the comment section?
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. That's great. An example of using the word is, it is our fervent hope that every member will succeed in their pathways. And second, she has been a fervent supporter of arts and culture throughout her life. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day, and I will give the report of the grammatical usage toward the other half of the meeting. Back to you, Mayan. Thank you.
Thank you, Akila. Thank you. I am not your evaluator, but I just want to say I really enjoy your word of the day already. As the VP of Brunei Speakers Club, it is my fervent hope that all my members who sign up and enroll for their speech projects. So feel free to hit me up on WhatsApp. But now let's move on with the meeting. We now have our next role player to introduce her dual role, Toastmasters Lo Eng Soon. Jazz hands.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and guests. Can you guys hear me? All right. So today I'll be your R counter and who said what. As an R counter, I'll be taking note of your filler words and sounds. For example, overused words like and, well, but, so, and you know. Other than that, filler sounds like and also repeating words like I, then, I mean. And usually people use filler words as a way to fill in a pause or as a crutch words. Other than that, I'll also be filling in the shoes as who said what. So at the end of the session, I'll be conducting a short quiz based on the meeting tonight to test your listening skills. So I look forward to the session tonight. Hope you guys can be a fervent supporter and join in my session. Back to you, Mei-An.
Thank you, Eng Song. Yes, and as you know, I'm always a fervent supporter of the Who Said What session. I like that. I wondered if my R counter didn't start clocking in when I was the SSA. That way I can get a clean sheet. Okay, moving on to the next role player. Very important person. He's gonna make sure that we're gonna run things smoothly on time. Without further ado, everyone, jazz hands for our timer and tip, Megat Arif.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and guests. As your timer tonight, I am responsible for monitoring time for each meeting segments and each speakers. I will provide timing signal to most of the participants and to report specifically on timing performance of table topic speakers, prepared speakers, and evaluators. With that being said, let me share the allotted time for the speakers. For table topics, you have 2 minutes. I will light up green if you reach 1 minute. I will light up yellow if you reach 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I will light up red if you reach 2 minutes. For the prepared speech, you have 5 to 7 minutes. I will light up green if you reach 5 minutes. I will light up yellow if you reach 6 minutes and red when you reach 7 minutes. For the role players report and evaluators, each will have 3 minutes except for the table topics evaluator, which will have 4 minutes for evaluation. During the evaluation, I will light up green when you reach 2 minutes. I will light up yellow when you reach 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I will light up red when you reach 3 minutes. And that is my responsibility for tonight. Before I end my introduction, I will leave with tips for tonight. My tip for tonight is don't be shy to stare at my face. Or you can pin me when you're doing your speech. And last but not least, back to our Toastmaster of the evening. And you're still on mute.
Thank you, Mega, for pointing that out. And also thank you for your introduction and tip. Exactly, table topic speaker and prepared speech speakers, and later on the evaluators. Don't forget to pin Mega's face because you always want to be on time. It's my fervent, let's say it's my fervent self-challenge to always be efficient, finishing as many things as possible within a set amount of time. And we also want to be able to finish our meeting on time while having fun. Now, coming all the way from UBD Toastmasters Club to evaluate the proceedings of tonight's meeting, we have Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Leader Bronze, Human Omar, to introduce his role in his capacity as General Evaluator of tonight's meeting. Over to you, Human.
All right, a very good evening, May-An. I am Hilman, and I will be acting as the general evaluator, which means I will be governing the evaluation session, and I'll be leading the lineup of evaluators and role players later. So in Toastmasters, we have the evaluators and the role players to help improve the speakers and support them in their speaking journey. But as a general evaluator as evaluators themselves, they're also here to improve on their own self-development and improving how well they evaluate and give the reports. My job as general evaluator is not only to call them up to give their reports, but also to evaluate how well they've done in their capacity as role players. So I'll be looking forward to that later. And with that, back to you, Mayan.
Thank you, Hilman, for introducing your role as the General Evaluator of Brunei Speakers Club tonight. And now it's time for me to introduce my thought of the day, and I'm also happy to report that my fervent wishes to be on time are met so far. We are 5 minutes ahead of time. We will begin tonight's meeting with the table topics. I've allocated 20 minutes for about 3 to 5 speakers to have a chance at impromptu speaking. We then move on to prepared speeches. We have one locally, Shanur Nizam, in his strategic relationship pathway. And we also have a guest from Bali, which is very exciting for me to be able to host a guest speaker. She'll be undertaking her presentation mastery pathway. And we expect the prepared speech session to be wrapped up in 15 minutes before proceeding to the break and our evaluation session, where most of our learning will take place. So prep for your listening first, and then get ready to learn for the evaluation session later. And now, to share my thought of the day. The thought of the day is focus is a matter of deciding what things you're not going to do. Now, I want to do many things, but ever since we started work from home, I realized that I'm also doing a lot of other things that needed to get done, or they were rather naughty. Like, for example, taking a stroll past the kitchen when it's not mealtime, opening that refrigerator door and popping a snack into my mouth when it's 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, just 5 minutes before my lecture starts. So that's very naughty, 5 minutes back just before the lecture. and you're going in with like, I hope they don't see chocolate in my mouth. But I think the thing to remember doing work from home is that while we are not in the office environment or the work environment or wherever you choose to do your work, we will have distractions along the way. Sometimes we want to do these distractions. Like I wanted to go to the kitchen, hence I went. But we should always try to keep in mind that towards our goals, we have to actively choose. I don't want to get distracted, or I don't want to open that YouTube video. I don't want to open the social media apps on my phone, and I don't want to walk in the kitchen and have a piece of chocolate. So staying focused also means actively saying no to the things that tempt us from the goals that we set out to achieve today. And this quote was taken from John Carmack, who's a computer programmer, and for those of you who like to play games, like video games. Okay, and now to start the meeting proper, I'd now like to give the floor to Toastmasters Charles Bach for his first time ever hosting the table topic session. Jazz hands!
Thank you, Mayan. Good evening, everyone. Interesting that today's focus is on deciding on things that you're not going to do, because I definitely want you to do table topics. So it's going to be very interesting. I did lie a little bit. The focus of today's table topics is life's iffy. In other words, it's unpredictable. You cannot plan it. And just like impromptus, you have to go with the flow sometimes. You didn't predict that you would be looking at Megat's face when he does the timer, but now you have to. So the topics today are all about what if, hypotheticals. So I'm going to pick Amar, considering you don't have a role today, and you can represent us to start off with. So your topic for today: if you could go back in time and give your parents advice before you were born, what advice would you give them? Amar, if you could go back in time and give your parents advice before you were born, what advice would you give them?
If I could go back in time and give my parents an advice, what kind of advice could I give to them? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, and fellow guests. The kind of advice that I would give if I could go back in time would be to stay strong and continue staying kind to everyone around them. And also the third advice that I would give them is to go easy on their kids. Because being part of an Asian family, most of us are here, the parents that we have are quite hard on us, but that's for a reason. And also seeing that my family or my parents have had a rough time in the past, they have been quite strong. And rather than an advice, I would give them I guess a word of encouragement. I would tell them to stay strong and continue being kind, because that's the kind of parents that my parents have been along the way. And that one advice at the end is just so that I could escape the little beatings that I get when I was a kid. And I guess that is all from me. I hope that answered your question. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Emma. I find it interesting that you want your parents to stay strong, but you also want to avoid beatings. It seems kind of contradictory, because if they're strong, you're going to get hit a little bit harder. But very, very well done in terms of staying strong. The next person, could I, Edina from Otters, considering you're familiar with table topics. Adina, are you there? If you could just put on your video, just I can acknowledge that you're still with us. I'm not too sure. You were here. Okay. Adina, are you there? Can I have not sure. Perhaps let's go with Adib. I think you've done table topics before. I think this may be your third time. So Adib, let's go with, I think it's something that I think would suit you. Okay. Adib, are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. If you could change one thing about your spouse, what would it be and why? Okay, if you could change one thing about your spouse, what would it be and why? Adib.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the question. This is a difficult one since my wife is just nearby. So the question is, if I could change one thing from my wife and what it is and why is that? So hopefully she doesn't hear this. If I could change one thing, that would be to plan early. Because it's not because she's not planning early every time. It's just that on the opposite sides, I am a very structured person, if I can say that. And I'm very, when I do things, I always plan early. So I think that's it. I don't want to talk more about it. Back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Adib. Very brave man. Thank you. Very strategic answer. Just in case your wife's listening, it is recorded and this is on record. So just be careful. Could I have someone from a different club? Lionel, are you okay with doing a topic? Okay, great. Lionel? Okay, this might tell us a little bit about you. If you could start a secret society, what would its goals be and who would you like as members? So Lionel, if you could start a secret society, what would be its goals and who would you include? Lionel.
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, can you hear me? If I were to have a secret society, the first thing that came into my mind is, are you aware of who Robin Hood is? I will start a secret society to start undertaking some of these missions in life that will enable me to slowly take things away from the people who may not be aware of it and to give it to the people who deserve it. Of course, I would need to be strategic. I would need to select people who I trust in order to undertake this. So let me tell you who I would invite to be a part of this secret society. The first person, I'll call him John. The second person, I'll call him Doe. So these are the two people who would be my partners in crime. You will never know who they are. And I will change my name as well just to fit the theme of this society. So please, I will pick those three members to be a part of my society. And together, I believe we will have a great time traveling the world, undertaking these secret missions to take away from people who don't deserve it and to give it back to the people who deserve it. I believe in doing such things, I might be able to make a little bit of difference in the world. and to excite myself in undertaking these secret missions. That's it from me. Thank you.
I know if you don't know, I was quite excited because I think I can join your club. My middle name is John and my surname is Buck. So it's similar to Ado. So I think I'm in there. I think we have time for maybe one more. Wafia, I know you've been a guest quite often. Are you willing to undertake an impromptu topic?
Hello.
Hi, Wafia. Are you
Can you
prepared
hear
to
me?
do a topic?
I will try.
Okay.
Yeah, I will try.
Okay. I'm being maybe a little bit genderist. I don't know if that's the word, but if
Yeah.
you were required, so here's your topic. If
Mhm.
you were required to wear a single color for the whole year, what would it be and why?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Of course. So
Sorry.
if you were required to wear only one color,
Okay.
you can only wear that color for the whole year,
Mm-mm.
what would that color be and why would you choose that color?
Okay, thank you for the questions. In my opinion, since it's something that I will wear for the whole year, in my opinion, it will be like anything that I will wear, it will be black color. Why? Because one, I don't know, just my personal experience. First I love black color, and somehow wearing the black color make me comfortable. Just because me myself I'm in like my personality, I was I was quite shy, quiet, and I love enjoy things alone, that I'm like an introvert. So yeah, that wonders me, this is why I think I like the black color, because so wearing something black, it make me comfortable. Like that, because wearing something other than black, it somehow makes me anxiety and all that. I don't know, it's just my personal experience. That's what I feel about myself. Yeah, so yeah, that will be my answer.
Thank you, Afia.
Yeah.
Dark color.
Thank you. Yeah,
Some
dark
good news,
color.
Lionel says you can join his secret society. He says that's the members' color. So you're in. Timer, Megat, do we have time for one more? Just one more. Okay. I'm just going to try one more guest. Jonathan from UBD, are you there? Oh, Jonathan, you are there. Great. Are you willing to try a table topic?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Jonathan. So if your life was made into a movie, which actor would play you and why?
Charles, can you repeat the questions again?
Of course I can. So if your life was made into a movie, which actor will play you and why?
If my life was a movie, who would be the actor? This is a very tough question, mainly because I really don't know a lot of actor and actresses. Like, ever since I heard the question, I'm really struggling here. Okay. I think that if I were to choose an actor, it would probably be the main character from Titanic. I don't know his name, but yeah, the guy who I guess touched a lot of females' hearts. Yeah, him. Mainly because I feel that the way that I behave is somewhat similar to him if I were to be in that particular situation, like just very calm, trying to act like he's all that. Because like for me, one thing about me is I have this tendency to behave like someone else. Like I'm very insecure about who I am personally. So I like to behave like, oh, I'm a very different person. Like I have like something called an imposter syndrome. And it's mainly because like, oh, I'm insecure about who I really am, like what I really do. Like I have this fear of like people knowing the real me. So I tend to act up like a completely different person. So, and like in that movie, I somehow feel that the character, that actor just somehow resonates with me in some way that I feel that, oh, maybe he could be, you know, the actor in my life. So yeah, that's all for me, Charles.
Thank you, Jonathan. Very well handled. I know you were struggling to find someone that you could pinpoint. I know most of us go like, oh, who looks like me? Who can I pick? But you managed to work through it. You were like, okay, I can't think of someone off the top of my head, but if I had to pick someone. So, and you picked DiCaprio. I'm not too sure if Titanic was before your time or not. I think 1990s. Okay. So not too bad. I hope Jonathan DiCaprio can also be part of the Secret Society. So I'm just going to do a bit of a summary of speakers. In total, we had 5. And the person who went first, I think I chose Amar. Amar, you would go back in time and give your parents some advice. May need to be strong. So I don't know what pain you've been putting your parents in, but that was Amar. If he could go back in time and give his parents advice. Then we had Adir, who could have used that advice, being strong, because his wife was close and he was very brave. He handled the topic and he said something that he would like to change in his spouse, if possible. But he was very non-committal, played it safe. And then the third person was Lionel. Lionel, you were starting your secret society with Robin Hood and gang. Fourth was Wafia. Well done, Wafia, for attempting a topic on Zoom. And you're all dressed in black, almost like a Dark Knight. And the last person, Jonathan, he's told us about who you get to play in a movie. Those are the 5 speakers. Please, could you send me your vote for your favorite speaker? And can you write it in the chat? Please make sure you send it to me personally, not for everyone. So make sure on the chat, it's got my name, and please send me which topic you enjoyed. That ends my role. I'll see you later to announce the best speaker. Thank you, TME.
You're muted again.
Thank you, Human. I'll try to remember better. I just want to say, Charles, that I think you did excellently for your first table topic session. I like how my thought of the day was about not doing things that distract us, whereas yours was like stimulating us to think about what if situations and be distracted by those situations that are not in our direct line of path. Very well done. With this, we wrap up our table topic session. There were 5 speakers. As a gentle reminder, Charles has requested for everyone to vote for their favorite table topic speaker by messaging him directly using the chat function. With this, let's now move on to our prepared speech project session. For our first speaker, the first project, we have Shanur in his strategic relationships pathway. He's undertaking the L2P1 project, which is about understanding his leadership style. For this particular project, I only had one person in mind to evaluate him. And without further ado, maybe this person could explain why I chose him if he chooses to introduce it himself that way. Everyone, let's give us jazz hands to Lim Chirong of Dynamic Leadership Proficiency Level 1. Chirong, to you.
Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I think I know the reason why Mei An chose me and insisted for me to evaluate is because recently I've only completed the same project not long ago, and I was so terrible at it. I had to redo the project speech for 3 times. So probably that's why Mei An chose me. So Shanno's project tonight is for him to identify his primary leadership style by sharing some aspects of his leadership style, or discuss leadership styles in general. Whether it be an experience sharing or a discussion on leadership styles in general, it is completely up to Shanno. What the audience should get out of his speech is a better understanding of Shanno's leadership style and its impacts. Now, Shanno, I'll be looking at 2 main things. Number 1 is the organization of your speech. And also, if I will be able to understand and express in words what kind of a leader you are. Shanno, I look forward to hearing your speech. I know you can do this. Good luck. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you very much, Chirong, for introducing your role tonight as Shanno's evaluator. I must be quick to add now that no, Chirong was not that terrible, but what he did undertake was 3 different speeches for the same project. And I just want to encourage everyone not to be afraid of having to reattempt projects, because I tell you, where I sat for all 3 of Chirong's 3 projects on understanding his leadership style, and it gets better each time. So no, you are not terrible. And now I wish to take this chance to introduce Shanno's project. So we all know Shanno is our president. So that's 1 leadership role, but he actually has another. So let's see what we can understand about Shanno from being a president and that other secret society role. I'm just kidding. Without further ado, Shanno, whenever you feel ready, you may start your speech.
Am I audible? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment of my life, I'm currently holding 2 leadership roles in 2 different organizations, where each of those organizations have 2 distinct purposes. The first organization is a profit-driven organization, which we call as Nexta Cloud Technologies, where I serve as the Chief Technology Officer for the company. For my second role, which is a non-profit organization, which is this club, Brunei Speakers Club, where I serve as the president for this club for the term 2021 until 2022. It is imperative for me to, due to being a leader in different organizations, I think it's very important for me to adopt different leadership style to cater different individuals and organizations that I'm leading. By the end of this speech, I will reflect back on my experience on applying different leadership style to 2 of those leadership roles that I just mentioned, and also reflect the importance of being a dynamic leader to accommodate different circumstances. Now, let us talk about the first organization, Nexta Cloud Technologies, where I serve as the CTO. One of the many responsibilities that I have as the CTO is that I need to manage the developers, ensuring they will be able to collaborate effectively amongst each other, and also ensuring them be efficient in delivering projects to our clients. Recently, our company has been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to serve Ministry of Youth, Culture and Sports to help them develop a mobile application where users can register and volunteer themselves for causes that are available in the app. The catch was we need to deliver this project within 2 months. To give you a perspective, it's like asking a contractor to build you a house in less than half the time they usually need. Initially, for the first few years as the CTO, I was always being so adamant in people writing I was always being too critical to my developers to follow strict coding convention, and I always nitpick on how they write their codes and scrutinize how they write their codes. Maybe because I'm a fervent believer of a beautiful codes written. But since this project is very crucial, I decided to let loose of the grip and allow them to write the codes in their way and trust on the quality of the works. As soon as this project was awarded to us by the MCYS, I immediately gather all of our six developers and assign them task which is specifically tailored for their skills and also based on their previous experience. For this to work out, I really need to understand all of my team members' strengths and weaknesses, and to be able for me to assign them the task effectively. By adopting this strategy and being less critical on how they write their codes, thankfully we are able to deliver this project to our client within the allocated time. I've also learned that I can fully trust on our developers in their ability to collaborate among each other and how they write their codes. When required, I can just intercept and provide quick guidance if I feel their work needs significant improvement. So that's my experience as a leader in CTO. Now let's talk about the next organization, Brunei Speakers Club, where I serve as the president. One of the main responsibilities as the president is I need to supervise the club and also supervise the EXCO members, ensuring the continuous operation of the club. One thing to note about being an EXCO member in any Toastmasters club is that all of those EXCO members are doing this voluntarily. So for me, it is very important for me to be a democratic leader and motivate everyone to share the goals that all of us to achieve. Whenever we have an EXCO meeting, I always try to ask for opinions and ideas and suggestions from all of those EXCO members so that they can feel included. I believe this is an effective tool for me to get all the members on board and to make them feel more included in the team. Whenever I notice a fellow member feel reluctant to share their ideas, I always encourage them to speak up more and contribute into the discussion. Whenever we have decisions to be made, I usually encourage everyone to cast our votes to select which is the best option that serves the purpose of this organization or this club. Another leadership trait that I bring to Brunei Speakers Club is that I always try my best to provide information and materials for my EXCO members to perform their duty effectively. One example is how I help Wilson Kong, our Vice President for Public Relations, to get digital assets from TechG to help him in his Instagram marketing. Another example, how I help Mei-An in how to set up future meeting schedule. And lastly, before this term start, me and Shatra documented what is the best way for membership renewal period. If you are an EXCO member in Brunei Speakers Club, you know how much time we have spent to discuss about membership renewal period. To summarize my speech, it is important for our leader who are leading different organizations to adopt different leadership style to cater the people to whom they are leading. For example, as the CTO, I'm a path-setting and an authoritative leader to ensure all the developers can collaborate effectively and follow strict convention. It is impossible for me to listen to all of those developers for their inputs for us to deliver the project on time. But as a president in Brunei Speakers Club, due to the nature of this club where people are contributing their energy voluntarily, I need to be a democratic leader and ensuring everyone feel included in the team. What's important is that as a leader, the person has to be responsible enough to lead their team as a single cohesive unit for everyone in the team to achieve the single most important mission of the club, which is the organization's success. And with that, back to you, Mei-An.
You see what I did there first? I pressed the unmute button first. Thank you, Shanu, for sharing with us your second attempt at introducing how you are as a leader. Well, certainly I think I know how you are, having had to work with you very closely. And I still maintain always Shanu for president. We'll now have our second speaker rolling in to give the speech. Before I introduce her and her speech, I'd like to introduce her evaluator. I would like to call upon her evaluator to come into the spotlight to let us know how he would evaluate a persuasive speech project. Without further ado, everyone, jazz hands for Ted G.
Am I audible?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayan. Natalie will be attempting a persuasive speech project. I'm really excited about this speech. The purpose of this project is for Natalie to understand different types of persuasive speeches and deliver one during this meeting. Think about all the different circumstances where you have to deliver a persuasive speech yourself. It could be to convince people to join your secret club. It could be to tell your wife to be more organized, or simply to persuade your parents to go easy on you. So persuasive speeches is really important. Now, Natalie can choose to appeal to emotions or ethics or logic in her speech, or she can choose to deliver it via a humorous way, informational way, or any style that she chooses. Now, this speech is really simple in my opinion. So I'll be looking for just one thing: how well Natalie organized her speech to persuade us fervently towards her thinking or argument. That's it. I'm really excited to look forward towards your speech, Natalie. I'll be back in the third part of the meeting later to give you my report. With that, all the best, good luck, and back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you very much, Ted, for your introduction. I found that it was very clear, and I enjoy how you put it all together with all the table topic speakers. I have experiences. Wow, yeah, if we can persuade people to do the things we want to do, that would be so amazing. Now, Natalie's speech is a $10,000 lesson. What do you think? Do you think 10,000 is a lot? Like maybe you have a secret society / fund and it's nothing, but I think $10,000, especially if it's in Brunei currency, it's a lot at this point in time. So it could get you half a car. It could buy you a very expensive holiday package. So while we don't know what exactly this lesson cost Natalie, like how it came to $10,000, let's not waste time and have her, when she's ready, to start her speech. Over to you, Natalie.
Okay. Oops.
It's okay. Whenever you feel ready.
Okay, because the timer gone.
Let me
moment.
add the timer back.
It's okay. It's okay. Yep, I found him. No problem. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me take you back to 2017. It was another sunny and breezy, peaceful morning in Bali. While sipping my tea at my office, I opened my mailbox. Ping! An email from my overseas client. Natalie, thank you for your hard work. We have wired the payment to your new bank account. New bank account? I didn't have new bank account. I got scammed. Fellow friends, that day we lost $10,000. It felt like deja vu. I think I saw it on TV or on internet that people got scammed, but I never expected myself to be on that list too. No amount of Toastmasters training could prevent me from blanking out and speechless. Until my mom told me, go to the police station to report. Okay, so I went to the nearest police station. When I arrived there, the policeman said, Miss, this station is only for traffic and tourist-related affair. You need to go to Central Police Station. So I went to Central Police Station, again, explained my case, and then the policeman said, we don't have cybercrime department here, miss. You need to go to regional police station. I'm at my wit's end. While continuing the agonizing race, I was fervently hoping to find an answer. I arrived there, explained my case for the third time, and then finally submitted my report. The policeman then explained to me that the case that I was encountered is classified as cybercrime, which involves hacking and phishing. And then he further explained not to hold my hope up because this type of cross-border cybercrime involves so many different complications, like different countries' jurisdictions, a lot of money if we wanted to go into international court. So it has very little chance to be resolved. After hearing that, I went home, feeling drained and despaired. Why? Why? Why this happened to me? I just tried to live an honest life, yet I suffered from someone else's dishonesty. Fellow friends, have you ever experienced that feeling of helplessness? Maybe you got scammed like me. Maybe someone you love betrayed you or backstabbed you. Or maybe life just dealt you a bad hand. Honestly, it took me some time to really accept, let go, and to try to find a silver lining in that situation. I'm human after all. Yet throughout the process, one thing came out repeatedly. And I thought, this is life's $10,000 lesson to me. To make peace. To make peace with people who have hurt us intentionally or unintentionally. To make peace with circumstances that we cannot control nor change. And to make peace with our own failures and mistakes. Over the year, this simple 2 words mantra, make peace, has helped me to sail through different seasons in life. But I never expected its main importance until last year's pandemic storm hit. I mean, who can guess in just a span of 1 year, all the world will be turned upside down. News of death, financial problems, health issues. It seems like life had dealt us so many bad hands since last year. The magnitude of the situation definitely made me feel stressed and sometimes depressed. Maybe just like what you all have experienced. But one thing that kept my sanity intact was that $10,000 lesson that I gained in 2017 to make peace. To make peace with people we love and we lost. To make peace with circumstances that are beyond our control. And to make peace with our own limitation as a human. Of course, it's easier said than done. But after all, life is a journey and not a destination. Fellow friends, what $10,000 lesson has life taught you? Ponder it, apply it, and make that lesson worth it. Toastmaster.
Wow. Thank you, Natalie, for offering to do your speech project at our club. It was really quite something to hear and feel all those emotions that you have put through over the webcam. Everyone, we'll now take a 15 minutes break and 10 minutes break. And feel free to chat while we're doing this break or go for your toilet break. And we'll convene in 10 minutes for our 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes for our evaluation session. The meeting should now be stop recording. Just hands.
Okay, found him. All right, good evening, everyone. Early on, we had 5 table topic speakers, and I mentioned that I would be evaluating based on their content. So the first speaker was Amar with the topic of asking him to give an advice to his parents before he was born. I like the content focusing on 3 things, which was asking the parents to stay strong, be kind to people around them, and also go easy on their kid. I thought it was very smart to expand that to talk about our stereotypes on Asian parents. Amal, I felt you could even further elaborate on it by telling us some examples of why you gave those advice. For instance, elaborate what is a tough day. Maybe tell them that along the way, people will try and hurt them. Or maybe tell them when the kids is growing up, be more patient to them. They might be naughty, but remember, in their eyes, they only had you. You are the whole world to them. So go easy on them. So if you're able to further elaborate on that, the advice that you give to your parents will be more valid. Second, we have Adip, who spoke about one thing that he would like to change about his spouse. I think we should give him a big round of applause for representing all the men, all the courageous and brave husband who dare to go against their wife. And he went halfway through. He was like, my wife is around. I wish she could plan ahead because I am a very structured person. So this is what I call a 50-50 thing. You wanted to be brave, but you went halfway. So I wish you could go all the way. For instance, tell us a time when she was too impromptu. Maybe when you were on a holiday trip where she forgot to bring certain things because she decided not to be prepared. And what you could do is you could spin it off. You see, it's all about different personality. And every personality has its pros and cons. But you know what? The most important thing is I love her and I accept her for who she is. So you're able to save yourself and you won't be sleeping in the couch tonight. Next, we have Lionel. Lionel, who wanted to start a secret society such as Robin Hood. He told us why he wanted to start it, how he wanted to start it, and who he would invite. I thought it was a very, very good content. He gave us solid reason why he wanted to do that, because it was about taking things away from people who don't deserve it and giving to people more deserving. Lana, I believe you will be able to further enhance on it by instilling your personal value. Why is this such an important thing to you? For example, you truly believe in justice. You truly believe that there were things that you could have done if you were given more power. So with that, you'll be able to expand and elaborate on your points, and you could have taken 2 full minutes to tell us why you should form the society. And I'm pretty sure that your vice president of membership for that society will be very happy. Next, we have Wafia. We'll talk about the single color for the whole year. I like how you went very straight to black color, because I like black and because black makes me feel comfortable as I'm a very insecure person. As a guest, as someone who may feel a bit inferior, Wafina, I would like to say that it was a good attempt in terms of telling us, because you went straight to answer, you gave us what we wanted to know. What you could have done better in the future, should you try a table topic again, would be tell us why black, and maybe tell us that maybe there are 2 or 3 other different colors, such as pink, because people would think that, as a lady, you should like pink, or they would say that purple because that's supposed to be a favorite color. Give us a little bit of twist here and there, then you go into black. I think that would extend your content a little bit. Last but not least, we have Jonathan, who would like to be known as Jonathan DiCaprio because he was talking about Titanic. And I agree with Charles. I don't even remember Titanic was being shown by the time Jonathan was born already. He must have loved watching classics. Now, regardless of what, I like how you try and figure out the way and you tell us why you like about Leonardo. You told us about the imposter syndrome. You told us about you don't like to show your true self. I think it was all good. 2 things you could have done is that tell us one iconic scene, maybe when he was standing trying to jump, you jump, I jump, and all those things, and relate a little bit to your life. Maybe you are the one person who would try to support people, so on and so forth. All in all, I think all the speakers shared good content and they're very brave. Everyone more or less stopped at green light. And what I wish to do is they wish to elaborate a little bit more so that they can at least hit the yellow or the red light. Well done, and I look forward to the future table topics. Thank you very much. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Alan. Now with the table topics evaluated, we move on to the announcement of the best table topic speakers. And for that, can we welcome the member of the Lionel's Secret Society, Charles John Buck. Toastmasters Charles John Buck, everyone.
Sure. So well done to the 5 speakers. We had an overwhelming majority in terms of the winner. So congrats to the winner. And can I have a little, maybe a finger roll just to build it up? And the winner is Lionel. Okay, it wasn't a scam, Lionel. Just those people wondering, just because we're part of the secret society, something happened behind the scenes. Can assure you none of that happened. Lionel, if you'd like to just give a short little congratulations speech.
Oops, I pressed the wrong button. All right, thank you so much, first of all, for the feedback that Alan gave. I will definitely incorporate it into future speeches. And thinking back about this topic, it's a very interesting topic, thanks to Charles John Buck. And perhaps I would change that topic now that I've had a bit more of an oversight. Maybe I would change that secret society to a group of people who would help babysit our children. What do you think about that? To give us a bit more time to have fun, because I have this little girl running around while I'm trying to focus. But all in all, thank you for the opportunity. It's my first time being here with Brunei Speakers Club, and I really appreciate that opportunity. Hopefully, this is the first of many to come, and this is one of the positive things of being in a pandemic. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles, and congratulations, Lionel. Now we move on to the prepared speech sessions. For that, can we welcome the first speech evaluator to evaluate on Shahnor? Let's welcome Dynamic Leadership Level 1, Lim Chi Rong.
All right. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Now, first of all, Shahnor, thank you for the speech. I know I've served alongside with you in the BSC Exco, and I certainly have a little experience with your way of leadership. But tonight's speech was definitely an insight for myself, and I'm sure for everyone else, to your role as CTO of Dexter Cloud. Now, I want to first talk about the organization of speech, as I've mentioned as well, part of the what I'll be looking at. Now, what I thought was the organization of your speech was great. It was straightforward with clear introduction to your different leadership roles and also good body and closing as well. You've painted a very good picture for every one of us here on the challenges that you face as a CTO and also as the president of Brunei Speakers Club. Let me elaborate a bit on that. Firstly, as a CTO, you let everyone know that your key objective is for you to ensure good collaboration among your team of developers. And you actually gave us a real life example not long ago, in which you said you had a project to deliver and the challenge was a very relatively short deadline. How you handled this challenge was to use a more direct, more authoritative approach whereby you understand the strengths and weaknesses of the team members. And based on your own analysis and judgments, you would task each of them accordingly. Any issue they had, you would solve it with them personally. Now, this very clearly shows that you are a result-oriented and efficient leader. Now, on the other hand, when you talk about your role as the president of Brunei Speakers Club, now this is again a completely very different environment. As the progress that you are looking for is not based entirely on voluntary by the committee, which is more often than not the challenge for you to ensure progress of the club. As you have described, your solution was not the authoritative approach, but rather the more democratic and encouraging approach, whereby you will encourage members to open up their thoughts, and then you, in this case, would support them with the information that they require to get things done. So rather than telling people what they need to do, as you would as a CTO of Leicester Cloud, you will ask the ExCo members what they need so that you could help give it to them and help them complete their task. Now, these two very different scenarios, I think you have very clearly painted the picture on the very different leadership styles that you would adopt in each scenario. Overall, I do have a very clear idea on the different leadership styles that you assert on this role. And more importantly, I understand why, as you've mentioned also in your closing, that you believe that true leadership should always align their approach best to achieve the mission and goals of each scenario. So I thought that was probably why you choose to have two different leadership styles when it comes to being a CTO and also the president of the Brunei Speakers Club. I don't have a lot of comments on room for improvement for your speech. I thought it was very well done. A minor comment would be that I believe that you could use a little bit more consistency when talking about your leadership as the president of Brunei Speakers Club, because for the first part, when you talk about your leadership as a CTO in Leicester Cloud, you use an example, a real life example to support your body. However, when you talk about your leadership as a president of the Brunei Club, you did not give us an example. So I thought it's very minor, because at the end of the day, I think everybody will still understand completely. But I think a little bit of consistency, if you could give us an example on a real life experience on your challenge as president of BSC, I think that would be great. All in all, I think the speech was very well done. I look forward to seeing you doing other speeches as well. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Chirong, for your evaluation. And now we move on to the next prepared speech evaluator. Can we please welcome to evaluate Natalie? Let's welcome Presentation Mastery Level 4, Ted G.
Thank you, G. From the get-go, when I started evaluating Natalie, I did mention that I want to know how well she delivered her speech to persuade us towards her thinking or argument. Now, Natalie, this is how I'm going to evaluate you. I'm going to have 2 things that you did well, which I feel that you did well, 2 things which I feel you could improve, and a challenge for you. Now, let's get started. Now, first thing, what you did well. Mei An said you delivered very rich emotions via the web. I totally agree. How you use your gestures, your tone, your tonality, your pauses, the speed of your speech, everything was very well orchestrated to deliver that rich emotions that you bring to your speech. For example, when you are at wit's end, you pull your hair, and when you're shocked, you give that face, and when you're exasperated, you give that slung shoulder. Everything was delivered so well. And we feel it, we truly feel it over the web. So well done on that. Second thing you did really well is how you use your personal story and the structure to deliver that whole thing. It was very easy to follow. It was very easy for us to digest. We can see clearly where this whole structure comes from. How you were scammed, you went to the police station, how you relate, and how it relates back to the latest problems that we are facing right now, the pandemic. And you gave us that closing question. All very easy to follow. So well done on that. 2 things that I would like to propose that you can work on to make it better. First thing, I felt that the journey from helplessness to being at peace was too abrupt. Why did I say that? The emotion was not deep enough. We couldn't feel the internal struggle. You were helpless at one point, then you suddenly said, we are all humans, definitely I make peace. It was just too abrupt. I cannot feel that roller coaster ride inside. If we can have that with your speech, I feel that it will be a much richer journey that we can feel your emotion. We want to feel the internal tension within you. So that's one thing that I'll propose to work on. The second thing is the credibility of the scam. I have this thought in my mind I've always tried to convey to people, which is clarity. Clarity equals credibility. With your illustration of the scam, I felt that it was not very clear. You received an email, then you got scammed. That's about the extent of it. So I felt that if we can go into a little bit deeper, what's the whole scam about? So we know, yeah, you definitely got scammed. Or was it a made up story from your side? So with that clarity, then we know, yep, that is scam. So I felt that the clarity of the scam was not clear enough. So there's two things I would like to suggest you to work on. I felt at the end, you delivered a very well-structured speech, but how you were able to apply that to yourself in another similar scenario. If you can give us another scenario where it was an equally big problem and you suddenly went at peace, I felt that we can follow along and we knew that you have learned. And then we knew that you are a credible person to give us that lesson. But overall, I felt that this is a very, very well delivered speech from you. So again, two things that you did well, very rich emotions, and your clear and simple structure make it easy for us to follow. Two things to work on. First is to go deeper into your helplessness to at peace journey. Let us see that roller coaster. So the other thing is the credibility of the scam, make it clearer. And lastly, to challenge yourself, give us another problem that you solved at the end that you went at peace. With that, well done. Back to you, GE.
Okay, thank you very much to all the evaluators, TTE, and the prepared speech evaluators. And now it's time for me to give my evaluation on these speech evaluators. Let's start with Alan Ang. Now, Alan has always been very encouraging, and I like how in this particular table topics evaluation, he focused on content, which is usually something that table topics evaluators don't focus on, because as an impromptu speaking, content is not very content is not something that we are concerned of when it comes to presenting our thoughts in an impromptu manner. But it's also very important that we have clarity in how we're answering the question. So I enjoyed how he gave very specific feedback to the speakers, as well as making it specific, making it distinct, making it not cliche, and overall wrapping it up in a very encouraging manner. I will say to frame it in a way that they can benefit, the speakers can benefit on their next attempt, because you mentioned, oh, you can elaborate on this part. You can say why your parents need to be strong, why you think this way. But I felt that those kind of advice, those kind of recommendations can only like benefit for that certain speech topic. So maybe you can frame it in a way that if you encounter a question similar like this in the next attempt, maybe you can think about elaborating on a certain aspect, maybe have a forethought on why and how you can structure or come up with content better. So in that case, the speakers can have something to carry forward other than another way to improve on this particular topic. Our next evaluator is Sharon, and I liked how you were able to elaborate on how you thought. Okay, first of all, I liked how you were specific in what you wanted to look into, which are the structure and the how can you describe Shahnoor's leadership styles, and using that as a signpost to what you're trying to evaluate really makes the clarity there, and it sticks to the objectives. And I thought you were very critical on what you're trying to look for, and so I think that was a job well done from you. And Ted, I liked how he was very methodical and gave insightful ideas and practical ideas at that one to the speakers. I think for both of the prepared speech evaluators, I would suggest looking at the speech as a whole. How did the speech succeed in relaying the message? Because what was lacking in both of the evaluations was that, okay, so those speeches have done this aspect very well and can improve in this aspect, but how did it serve the purpose of its speech? So for Shahnoor, the purpose of the speech was that, oh, you need to adapt leadership styles. That's kind of part of his conclusion. And something I was unsure about was how did that speech really expressed in that manner. And so and it's similar to Natalie, how did making peace or finding $1,000 question, how did that message, especially in a persuasive speaking manual, was able to be delivered in that speech? But overall, well done to all of the prepared speech evaluators and the table topics evaluators as well. And now I move on to the other role players. So with that, I'd like to welcome the very first role player, the grammarian. Let's welcome Toastmaster Shafika, Akila Shafika.
Thank you, Hilman. Thank you, everyone. We have a number of speakers attempted to use the word of the day. Well done. To Mayan, she has a number of fervent supporter, fervent hope. Well done on that. Natalie as well, Song as well. Shahnur, fervent believer, yes. And Tad used it in persuade us fervently toward her thinking. That is not quite the right way to use it because fervent is sincere, but if you're persuading someone, it's not sincere. Okay. We also have a notable good use of words throughout the night. Jonathan mentioned an imposter syndrome. So for those who have who doesn't really familiar with this, it's doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. Shanor, also great use of word throughout your speech. You mentioned nitpick, so it's an overtly focused and critical on the tiny unimportant details in task. Natalie mentioned life dealt a bad hands. So that means to reduce disadvantage, to receive disadvantage and negative circumstances beyond one's control, make peace, which means to start to accept something that was worrying. Chirong mentioned painted a picture. So it means to describe something in a very particular way. Taji also mentioned a well-orchestrated speech, which means carefully organize something in order to achieve a desired result, which I think is very suiting for Natalie, in which she's doing her persuasive speech. With that, I end my report and back to Hillman.
Thank you very much, Akila. We move on to the counter and who said what report. Let's welcome Toastmaster Law Eng Sung.
Good evening again, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Am I audible? All right, thank you. So right now I'll be delivering the report, counter report. So first of all, I would like to congratulate to the speakers who does not have any crutch words at all. Please have a raise of virtual hands. All right, so the first speaker is Alan, Megat, Amar, Ted, Natalie, Lionel, and Lim Chi Rong. So congratulations, good job on that. Now moving towards the next speaker. So I categorized some of the speakers to the reasons why they have these sorts of crash words. So the first group of speakers, they usually use these crash words as a form of transition. The first speaker is Charles. So Charles usually use words like so, or even repeating so during the start of the sentences. As for Mei An, your crutch words are usually so. Human, yours is and sometimes you tend to extend the end of the speech like really, as a form of transition. And as for Akila, it's also and So my advice for this group of speakers is that instead of using so, it can be replaced as well, then, now, furthermore, and besides. All right, moving on to the next group of speakers. The reason behind why they use their crutch words are usually because of nervousness. So the first speaker was Adib. So it's understandable as you were talking on a topic regarding your spouse. So you use and so. And as for Wafia, our guest speaker, your crush words are like, so yeah, and it tends to repeat. You tend to repeat a lot of times on so yeah to fill in the pauses. And another one would be Jonathan. You use the crutch words and in an attempt to brainstorm on a celebrity that you wanted to be. So my advice for all of you would be to breathe in and take a pause. So when you breathe in, you feel more calm. Therefore, the number of times of crutch word will be lessened. All right. Now moving on to the who said what session. All right. Now, first off, who acts like a woman when it comes to giving advice?
Who acts like a woman?
Like a woman when it comes. Who gave advice today? Who acts like a
Ellen.
woman? Sorry?
Ellen.
No. Any more guesses?
Adib.
No. It's Amar because he contradicts himself just like a woman. All right. So the next one. Who is the bravest man among the table topic speakers?
Adib.
Yes, Adib, because he told his wife to be more organized when she's just around. What is Wafia's favorite color?
Black.
Yes. What kind of association Lionel wants to be part of?
Robin Hood.
Yes. And who are his partners in crime?
John Doe.
Yes.
And Charles.
Who is Rose Lover in Toastmaster?
Rose Lover.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Because he wants to be Leonardo
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio.
Yes, who is also Jack in Titanic. Lastly, what did the 10,000 lesson taught Natalie about life?
Make peace.
Make peace.
Make this because
Yes. Another one about life in particular, just life in particular.
Go to only the regional police station.
No. She meant. Does Natalie know the answer?
Don't open spam.
So the answer is.
There were three here.
Sorry?
Make peace with your parents. Love your life.
There's one in particular about life. Okay, I'll review it. Life is journey and not a destination.
Yeah.
That's all from me. Back to you, Mayan.
Back to human.
Oh, sorry, back to human. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Eng Sung. And according to the agenda, we'll move on to the timers report. So let's welcome Effective Coaching Level 3, the timer, Megat Arif.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We started the meeting at 7:35 and the table topics to cover at 7:53. We have 5 table topic speakers for tonight. The first one is Amar. Amar took 1 minute and 38 seconds. Adib took 1 minute and 15 seconds. Lionel took 1 minute and 29 seconds. Afifah took 1 minute and 14 seconds. And last but not least, our Jonathan DiCaprio took 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And then we started off our prepared speeches at 8:10 p.m. So our first prepared speaker was Shanur. Shanur took 7 minutes and 25 seconds. He took introduction of 1 minute and 12 seconds. He spoke about Nesta Cloud for 3 minutes and talked about Toastmasters for 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And then he summarized his speech for 1 minute. And second prepared speech was Natalie. Natalie took 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Her introduction took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And she summarized her speeches within 2 minutes. And our evaluators, our first evaluator was table topics evaluator, Ellen. Ellen took 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Table topics announcements took 1 minute and 24 seconds. Prepared speech evaluator, Lim Chirong, took 3 minutes and 45 seconds. G, prepared speeches evaluator, took 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Our role players, grammarian Akila took 2 minutes. Eng Song, our accountant who said what, took 5 minutes. And our first general evaluation for the prepared speech evaluator took 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and I took 1 minute and 53 seconds. So for our eligible best evaluator is first Alan Ang, second would be Ted G, and third would be Akila. Let me repeat that again. Our eligible best evaluator would be Alan Ang, Ted G, and Akila. With that, back to our general evaluator, Hilman.
Okay, thank you, Megat. Before I move on to my evaluation, who are we casting our votes to for? Okay, Megat, cast your votes to Megat. Okay, so you'll receive the votes.
All right.
All right, so please cast your votes to Megat, everyone. Now I move on to evaluate the 3 role players that gave the reports just now. First and foremost, we have Akila. Now, Akila, I enjoy the initiative you did at the very beginning of your introduction, where you encourage members to remember the word of the day by typing it in the chat. So in this case, even if they don't use it, they'll remember it because they wrote it by. And I thought that was really clever and really interactive. And I also enjoyed how your report was very easy to follow. There's not a lot of complicated jargons when it comes to the your report, and I think it's good for general setting that we just need to understand where we did great, where we did wrong, and can improve. So I think that was great. I would say that I think a bit about maybe the semantics, because in your report on the words of the day, you said, oh, someone didn't use it correctly. And I think you mentioned fervently, someone mentioned fervently persuading, and it's along the lines of, persuasiveness, being able to persuade isn't passionate, something like that. And I think I wasn't very sure about that reasoning. So I think maybe you can expand a little more on that one, because that can probably be confusing to other people. Moving on to Eng Sung. When it comes to our counter, I don't really have a lot to say. I think in terms of how you're doing it, it was fine. You were able to pick out what each speaker, their majority of crutch words were. Maybe you can quantify them a bit, but I will say I think you need to be careful with generalizing what each speaker's reasoning of how their crutch words are. For example, you saying this group connecting, this group they were nervous, and I think that might be a bit dangerous to generalize why they the reasons they have those crutch words, because it might not be true to them, and it might, I wouldn't say offend, but people might take it the wrong way. So I think be careful on that and try to maybe categorize it in a way that doesn't generalize types of crutch words maybe. So that's something to look out for. I think for Megat, a time where I don't really have much to say as well. I think you did your report well enough. It was structured, it was clear, and you were precise, and you remembered who were eligible for the best evaluators are. So I think for Megat, I think you did your job just fine, and I don't really have much to say about that. So those are the evaluations for the role players, and now I move on to the general evaluations, where I will talk about the general setting, our host, the table topics master, and the table topics the Toastmaster evening and table topics master. Let's start with Charles first. Now, Charles, I think you have a knack for being a host, especially for a session that encourages you to interact with other people. Like, I think table topics master is kind of like the game master, the game show host, because you're more interactive and you allow the fun. I liked how, I think your sense of a good host is that you're very interactive with the speakers and you actually listen, and I can see that you're referencing other speakers and you referencing back other speakers, you reply to them, and it shows that you're listening, and you're also encouraging to guests as well. I think be careful about what your intent for table topics. In your introduction, you said, oh, I think table topics is about having fun mainly. I don't think that's something you can mention, because Toastmasters have table topics so members can practice impromptu speaking. Yes, it is the more livelier session, but I would refrain from mentioning that in your introduction because the whole purpose of having the session in the first place is to build up on your impromptu speaking skills. Next up, we have TME May An. I like how you're as lively as ever, you're bubbly, and I think it's a very obvious strength of yours. But as a host, I like how you don't get mistakes. You don't get your mistakes get to you. You're able to repair them very gracefully, and I think that is a good skill as a host. If something happens, you can handle them with grace, and people don't pay much attention to that. And I liked how you were reinforcing, you're helping out the speakers, role players, their messages, and it showed that you were listening as well. So that is a good sign of the host. There are times, tendencies where you tend to over-explain things and mention things that might take up time for certain things, but I think that's something you can work on in other times. So maybe as a host, I think as a host, you can work on making your transitions, making your hosting skills a bit more succinct. But otherwise, I think you're bubbly and you're able to handle the floor well. In general settings, I want to say two things. There was a time when guests were coming in and they weren't introduced, and understand that sometimes you're busy as a host. You might not notice the guests are in, or you're not noticing, or you're too busy handling other stuff that the guests are not attended to. And I think that it's okay if you forget, but I think it's important for other members in the club, in the meeting, to bring that up, and in the middle can introduce the guests as well. And I think it's fair for them to give introduction. I just noticed one thing in the agenda in the slides, and I'm very curious about. It says that the Grumman report is 3 minutes and the Akonta reports is 4 minutes. Is that a club decision? Because I'm not sure about that at all. And then maybe it's just a mistake. And then I'm split between 4 minutes and 3 minutes for general evaluation. That's something I'm not sure as well, but I think I'm just going to bring that up for the club to think about. Otherwise, I think that's all for my general evaluation. I don't want to take too much time. Mega's been read for, I think, a solid minute. And with that, back to the Toastmaster evening. Mayan.
Thank you very much, Human, for coming all the way from BSSC to evaluate our club. I always appreciate having non-BSC members being the GE, because it's always my intention that we maintain club quality standards, and I always feel that having a third party will be able to bring us that lens into the, and I think I'm doing what Human has said, over-explaining things. So I will try to wrap this up quickly now. This is my very first time conducting a virtual meeting. There were a few things that I wanted to incorporate that I didn't have a chance to. So I'm actually looking forward to hosting the next virtual meeting in September. And yeah, because I've been attending a few virtual meetings from international and other clubs in Brunei, and there's just a few things that I would like to try and experiment to keep the dynamic of our learning progressing despite the COVID-19 situation. I don't have anything more to say. I just want to say that I think the GE has been very gracious to me with with the comments, and I did thoroughly enjoy myself. I do apologize for any shortcomings, and other things that I like as well is that it was my pleasure to host international guests from overseas in that, and I'm also looking forward to next week's meeting because we also have international guests next week. So it's now almost 10 minutes to 9:30. So I'll just like to pass the floor to our president of the club, Shanul Nizam.
Thank you very much, Mayan, for hosting tonight's meeting. So before we move forward for the announcement of the next week TME, I would like to give few comments to our new members, especially Kira. Congratulations for your first attempt as the grammarian. I think this is your first attempt doing the role player in Brunei Speakers Club. Looking forward for you to do more role players role. It seems like you are very seasoned in doing this. You know what does the grammarian do. Good job on that. Looking forward for you doing the next role. And as for Adib, since this is your, I believe this is your 4th weeks in Brunei Speakers Club. I think it's about time for you to start doing role play because you're missing out a lot by not doing role play. Maybe you can start helping the next week TME and volunteer yourself by doing the role play. Yes. And also I would like to say thank you very much for all of the other guest Toastmaster from other club for attending to our meeting. You make our meeting more lively and merrier. Thank you very much. Next, let's move on to the announcement for the next week TME. So next week TME is none other than Megat Arif, our timer Megat Arif. So everyone, please help Megat Arif by volunteering in doing the role. So Adib, this might be your chance for contributing in this club. Next, I would like to ask for guest comment. Do we have guests want to share with us their comment? Can we have, I think our guest is, what is his name? Zai something? He's not here. Okay, it's okay. Can we have guest Toastmaster member from other country to give some comment? Maybe Natalie, if you would like to share some comment.
Hi, Shahnur, and hi, everyone. It's my
Hello.
pleasure to be in Brunei Speakers Club. Actually, I went to Brunei in 2016 to attend conference, but I didn't manage to join the meeting on site because at that time the choices was sightseeing or went to a meeting. So I went sightseeing, right? When else I went to Brunei? So this is my first Brunei meeting that I joined. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I think similar with my home club, also BSC has like a very structured and organized meeting, while also still have that, friendly atmosphere. I also learned some new things from this meeting, like how the GE gave feedback right away after the evaluators and then after the technical role players. I think it's also a great strategy to really keep the focus on the game in a sense. Because before, usually what we did is we just put GE and the GE did everything at once. Yeah, so I enjoy this meeting, and next week you will see one of my good friends coming in to this club, Pipit, to deliver her speech as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for your comment, Natalie. And also I would like to say thanks a lot to you for delivering your speech here. I really enjoyed how you deliver your speech, especially how I agree what that says how you employ the pacing and pauses to make your speech more dramatic, more immersive for us to enjoy your speech. Thank you very much for that. We've learned a lot from you.
Thank you, Sianur. Actually, this is the first club that I'm gonna do my tour, the PDQ award. So Brunei is one from Division E.
We are honored to be the first one for you.
Thank you.
Next, do we have any members' feedback around the floor? Any members would like to share their feedback? Going once, going twice. I have one member's feedback for me. The pathway, the Toastmaster pathway has been in place in Toastmaster for a very long time, I think 2 years. Previously, we have this old manual. I will be very much prefer if we don't have, never refer to about the old manual again, because we are having new members. It might make them question, what is this old manual thing? Is this old manual thing is better than the new pathway? So let's try our best to make tonight will be the last time for us to mention about the old manual because I'm a relatively new member as well. I was confused by what is this old manual, so that's my membership back. Okay, clear everyone, clear. Okay, next, do we have any other business? Do we have any BSC representative? Maybe you guys have your meeting.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I need to announce the upcoming meeting. Just remembered. But hello everyone. I'm speaking on behalf of Brunei Advanced Speakers Club. Brunei Advanced Speakers Club is a different club than most of the Brunei in that it is somewhat exclusive. The membership is somewhat exclusive, and it meets every first Friday of every month instead of every week. So we always use, we in Brunei Advanced Speakers Club use the club as a platform to really improve on our professional speaking skills and things that we don't normally learn in regular club meetings. So that's something to look forward to. Basically, okay, I just want to announce that our next meeting, our upcoming meeting will be this Friday, 3rd of September. Yes, Friday, 3rd of September. It will be on Zoom. It will be our very first online meeting. So I hope you can come and support us. And we have Nina Kifrawi as Toastmaster evening, and we have a speech by Rano Iskandar, the previous president for Brunei Speakers Club, the immediate past president for Brunei Speakers Club, and Azia Nasser, who is also a previous president of Brunei Speakers Club as well. So why don't you come and support your previous presidents at giving their speech? If you want to learn more, you can text Alan or any one of the Brunei Advanced Speakers Club members, and we can send you the Zoom link. That's all. Back to you, Shahnor.
Thank you very much, Hilman, for sharing the next meeting for Brunei Advanced Speakers Club. Now let us move on to the announcement of the best evaluator. Will it be Alan? Will it be Ted? Will it be Shafika? Akila? Drum roll, please. So the best evaluator is Alan. Congratulations, Alan, for winning the best evaluator ribbon. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to my presidential closing remark. I would like to reflect back on May Ann's thought of the day, which is focus is a matter of deciding what things you are not going to do. So there's always distraction throughout our life, especially when we are focusing on to improving ourselves. For example, when we are attending in this club, we have this desire to improve our confidence, our ability to speak in English, or any other thing that we want to improve on. Maybe you want to improve how you interact with people, improve your social skill. So between attending to this club every Tuesday evening and maybe other things to procrastinate, such as watching movies, Netflix, or even sleeping. So you manage to avoid that distraction and commit yourself to attend to tonight's meeting, which is something more important, something that you want to focus on, which is your improvement. And I really commend that so much about you. Give yourself a pat on the back because you fight those temptations, to fight those procrastination because you want to improve yourself. So, and again, Brunei Speakers Club will always be available every Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30. Our door will always open for everyone to attend, to keep improving yourself. So until next week again, we will meet again in the next week meeting. Thank you very much. This meeting adjourned.